All right, cool. So welcome back, everybody, to another episode of QuattroQuattroDos. I'm over here joined by Juan. He runs the Peña of Real Madrid here in Houston. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Juan, since
Hey
obviously.
guys, my name is Juan Uriarte. I host a lot of the Real Madrid game in Houston. I was born and raised in Mexico City, but lived in Houston the majority of my life. So I'm a big Houstonian fan, and I'm a big Real Madrid fan.
Awesome. Yeah, so I guess we kind of have a similar story. We were born in different places, but we grew up in Houston, I guess, right?
Exactly. So Houston pride, and then also our home country's pride.
For sure. So let me just go ahead and get to it and ask you some questions about, like I told you before, we're gonna talk about you and your life and growing up with soccer, and then we'll get into the whole La Liga and your team. So yeah, just tell me a little bit of when did the love for the sport came about? How did it come about?
Yeah, I mean, basically, growing up with 29 cousins and most of them are football fans, it was naturally that I would become a fan of it. Of course, we had a little bit of split. We had some America fans, some Chivas fans. We had some Real Madrid fans, some Barcelona fans. I ended up being in the Real Madrid side of things. And the reason why I started this fan base was because for the longest time here in Houston, it was always horrible to just watch the games at home and just celebrating by yourself. To me, it just didn't vibe. Once in a while, I would go to either a bar or a hookah bar with some of my friends and watch the games. But I felt like there had to be more of a community. I got introduced to the Peña Society, like all the community within here in Houston, because there's two Real Madrid fan bases, the one I run and the other one that meets around downtown. I actually used to be part of that one. I got to not only meet them, but I actually got to meet a lot of the ones they interact with Miami, New York, because I went to the Miami game for the Clásico. I got to meet all of them. And for the longest time, I was part of that community. And then I decided to start my own because I wanted to host more games. I wanted for people to feel welcome regardless of if you were paying a membership or not. So that's basically why I created Peña Madridista HTX. We were originally called Clutch City Peña, but we changed our name, and now we try to strive our best just to welcome everybody and enjoy Real Madrid together.
So where do you guys get together to watch the games?
So we actually jumped around a few bars, but we finally cemented ourselves at Richmond Arms down on Richmond. It's fantastic because the owners are so nice, and on top of that, they always reserve the middle section for us. So the big projector screen is for watching Real Madrid games.
Oh, that's what's up. And how many people do you guys bring in for games?
So usually for regular games, it could be from between 10 to 15 people. For big games, that's when the large crowds come out. Your Real Madrid Barcelona, your Real Madrid Atlético de Madrid, and your Champions League games, they usually range between 25 to even sometimes 35 people.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's a good amount.
Yeah, for sure. It gets super fun.
Yeah, I was talking to, like I mentioned, I talked to you about Paul. He runs Wolves Houston. And we were talking about how cool it feels to have a group of people wearing the same jerseys or, chanting the same songs or, screaming goal at the same time.
It really is, because the thing is that, a lot of people don't know this, but they're watching it's not the same thing, watching at home than oh, it's the weekend. I'm getting ready to see my boys and, put on the jersey, buy a couple of chelas and get ready to, have the time of their life. And regardless of win or lose or draw, we're there with the team. We're always supporting. And that's the best part, you get to be part of a group. And that's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, I mean, but going into the whole love of the game and love of the team, how did you come around liking Real Madrid? Since you had been a Mexican national of Mexican descent, how did that love come about for the Spanish team?
So I basically grew up with two clubs, Club America and Real Madrid. My family would always watch those two teams, and my cousins would never miss a Clásico and a Clásico Nacional for Mexico and a Clásico of Spain. So I had the pleasure of like being with the cousins that would always watch the Galácticos on TV. You know, Roberto Carlos, El Fenómeno, I mean, Figo, Zidane, David Beckham, and that's why I fell in love with the team. And even though I actually got to see Barcelona live first, I saw them live here in Houston against Club America, where they tied 4-4. And even though I got exposed a lot to Barcelona, it never attracted me. And it was a time when Ronaldinho was popping. Like Ronaldinho was famous around the world. You know, nobody would stop talking about him. You know, Eto'o, they had Rafa Marquez. I mean, our own national player, Rafa Marquez, was playing for Barcelona at the time. So it's crazy how like I was exposed a lot to both teams, and I just ended up falling in love with the magic of Real Madrid. Some of my favorite players of all time, Raul Gonzalez and Iker Casillas, were the players that I followed, and I especially followed them in the Spanish national team. So it naturally, my love grew for them, and I've been a diehard fan since.
So talking about being a diehard fan, and you mentioned that you went around and like you, for example, you went to Miami when they came and played. Like what kind of crazy experiences do you have going somewhere or watching the games or?
So let me tell you my whole Miami experience.
Go for it,
This
bro.
was when I was still part of. This was when I was still part of the other fan base. We set up tickets not only to go to the game, but the Peña in Miami, which is Peña Madridista Sur Florida, had actually hosted a gala before the game. And not only do we get to meet all the Peñas around the United States, we also got to meet Raul Gonzalez in person. It was so nice because people were asking questions, you know, he was talking so nice. Emilio Butragueño was also present, and it was amazing. It was like looking at my heroes, like the people that I saw. Well, I didn't get to see Butragueño play, but seeing Raul in person was just like outstanding. After that, you know, we tailgated right outside of the Miami Dolphin Stadium, which was where the Clásico was hosted. We got to be in the tailgate with all the Peñas, you know. It was so amazing. It's so cool how everybody had a little bit of their cities, you know. The Chicago guys, they all brought Chicago flags. The LA guys, they all had Dodgers hat with Real Madrid to the side. They all had their own identity, and it was crazy. I got to meet a Spaniard by the name of Marcos, who was building a museum of Real Madrid in Madrid. Wow. Like I got to meet some of the Sur Florida fans, and one of them got actually interviewed by Bleacher Report. She was called the Crazy Soccer Mom, but it's just how passionate she is for it, and just such a unique experience for me because I had never been exposed to that. I haven't had the pleasure of going to Madrid and watching Real Madrid live, but being in that environment, it's just like it just wants you like it just makes me want to work harder to just eventually get there, you know?
That's what's up. So, and that's the dream, right? Going over there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would love to just do a tour of Europe in general, of like all the stadiums, you know, and eventually, you know, South America, because I've seen some of the Boca games and they get awesome, like just how the intensity of football there.
Yeah, that's for sure. It like, I mean, that's a crazy experience. Like, I wish I could like experience. I was telling Paul from the Wolves, it's cool to see like so many groups, you know, because you know now that I'm getting into this whole like you know with the podcast and getting to know different people, there's so many groups from like so different teams, and I always say like I wish my team had a supporter group, you know. But also, I mean, we have the Dynamo, so I guess I have my little home team that I can kind of support, you know, and we also have the Dash as well. So yeah, I mean,
for sure.
That's pretty cool. I was gonna ask you something and I forgot, but I'll probably remember on that.
For sure.
But I wanted to ask you, going into the Real Madrid and like the league coming back. How do you see the league? Like, what do you think about the whole league coming back? How do you think the team is gonna do since you guys are fighting there again with Barcelona?
For sure. It's a crazy schedule because it's going to be so many games back to back that I'm actually very worried about fatigue and injuries. And if you followed a little bit of La Liga this season, Real Madrid was plagued by injuries this season. And the fact that we're fighting 1 point difference is a miracle. But at the same time, it just shows the kind of quality that we bring to La Liga. The good thing is that not the good thing because the pandemic is horrible, but during the pandemic, a lot of our injuries were able to recover. Like Marco Asensio is back, Eden Hazard is back. Unfortunately, Jovic got injured a little bit early before they announced the coming back of La Liga. So the reinforcements are there, which is good. And the thing is, it really can go either way because this is such a weird experience, especially for the players now, because not only are they not going to have the support of the fans, but we are actually not even going to be playing in our home stadium because Santiago Bernabéu is going huge renovations. Like they're making like a bigger stadium. Mm-hmm. And we're actually going to be playing where Castilla, our reserve players, play. So, and on top of that, not being playing at Santiago Bernabéu, we're not even going to play with fans. So it's going to be an interesting situation to see how the players react. I don't know if you got to see the Dortmund-Bayern game a few days ago, but, usually when you play at Signal Iduna Park, like it's intense to play under those Dortmund conditions and not having that yellow wall. Bayern Munich took advantage of that, Sure. So it really shows like how fan morale can affect the game. But at the same time, we'll see how the game will be tested. Bundesliga started a little early, so their games are a little more spaced out. But the La Liga is going to be every 3 days, I believe so. So we'll see how they manage the injuries, the condition, everything.
Yeah, I saw that basically in these 2 months, you have, 11 games to be played? So it's basically you play a Sunday, like a weekend game and a weekday game. And it's just, it's going to be pretty crazy. I also read, I'm pretty sure because you obviously know more than me about La Liga, but I think they approved I don't know if it was Premier or La Liga, but they're approving to have 5 subs, instead of the regular 3, just to compensate with like you said, the fatigues and the possible injuries.
For sure.
So much to be played. And, being a competitive team, there's so much to risk, because you obviously want to be up there winning.
Yeah, and the stakes are higher because, during this pandemic, you want to see your team lift the trophy at least. And especially because they haven't said anything about the UEFA Champions League. So by the looks of it, they might cancel it. So at least you want to walk away with 1 trophy. I haven't heard about the 5 sub thing. That would be interesting because that would make up for the fatigue and all the craziness that's going to be for La Liga. What I did feel bad for was Bilbao and Sociedad didn't get to play their Copa del Rey finals. Yeah, it was the first time it was like non-Barcelona or non-Madrid Copa del Rey final. It's going to be a Basque final. So I do feel bad for them. Hopefully they'll be able to make up the final game, even if it's without fans. But yeah, it's just it's a crazy scenario. No one would have ever imagined it. Some leagues already canceled without champion. The French league, they just gave the championship to the first place. So It's a very different situation. And honestly, I applaud the players for, still going at it, and hopefully we can turn around La Liga, but at the same time, it's understandable that it's such a different situation.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's so much pushed into so little time, right? But in your opinion, what do you think? How do you think it's gonna turn out for Real Madrid? Do you think you guys have the manpower to pull it off, or what do you?
We have everything. Right? Honestly, we have the power because we had such an improvement of a season from last season, which is literally what we call the post-Cristiano era. So it was such an improvement, and you saw it in everyone. You saw it in Courtois, you saw it in Ramos, you saw it in Benzema. Like right now, we're more of a unit. The young players that we were expecting to step up, they're finally stepping up. there's a few exceptions, maybe like Jovic, who hasn't been able to adapt to our system. But most of the players, like who would have thought Vinicius Jr. scoring a goal against Barcelona, and much less Mariano, like a 2-0. On top of that, Rodrigo doing fantastic in the Champions League. So it's a lot of things, Mendy stepping up when Marcelo was injured. So we have the capabilities to beat them. It's just a matter of like, if Barcelona slips up, against your typical team that just goes full hard against the big teams,
Yeah. Well, if it gives you any hope, River in Argentina, they were up top, and they lost their last two, or they tied their last two games, which gave Boca a chance to actually beat them on the last fecha of La Liga to beat them. So,
nice.
Hey, some hope,
it's
right?
intense,
Oh, dude, yeah, it was intense.
Sorry if I get a little sidetracked, but what did you think of what happened? Not this last Libertadores, but the one before. What was your opinion about all that craziness?
You're breaking my heart. No, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just like your typical Argentinian, like, excuse my French, but the fuckery of being an Argentinian and like being part of that Argentinian, culture. I mean, everybody, it was supposed to be a party, right? You come to our house, we party it up. We go to your house, we party it up. But, people don't know how to behave.
Sure.
And I mean, me, myself, what had happened was that the River fans, whenever the bus was going, they threw some rocks, they busted some windows. So one of our guys got he got a glass in his eyes. I don't know if I believe him. I'm supposed to believe him because he's from my team, but I don't know, So obviously he was injured, and going to Europe, it was a very interesting call because they could have played it anywhere else, I don't know, played in Brazil.
Exactly, Brazil. They could have gone to Azteca in Mexico. Hell, they could have even brought it to Houston, and they would have made a lot of money there.
Man.
But
yeah, the fact
also, that
no, go ahead.
Go for it. Go. No, the fact that they took it to our stadium, Santiago Bernabéu, that was crazy, So it really, now that I actually get to talk to a Boca fan, it's interesting to see what was that like. What was that reaction to that decision, to go all the way to Spain to play that second leg?
At the end of the day, I believe it was like a money thing. Of course, obviously, the prestigious, whatever that word is, of having such a great, you're not only have a Clásico, but you have it as a final of la Copa Libertadores. Which is
exactly.
It's like the ultimate game of the ultimate games. It's I don't know, like Real Madrid, Barcelona for the champions,
Oh,
and
God.
Yeah, just imagine the emotions and the craziness and what that brings to it. Because River having that whole era of going to the second division and then coming back. So obviously we give them shit for that. Till the end of time, right? And then that was their only chance to kind of even it out in a way, saying, hey,
exactly.
we beat you at the most important cup of the most important time. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. I knew people that flew from some River fans that flew from the US to Madrid to go watch it. And I mean, it was a crazy experience. I mean, it's a crazy experience for sure.
I can imagine.
Weird. I mean, it sucked, I'm not going to say in public that I cried, but maybe I shed a tear.
Hey, man, we've all suffered our rival once in a while,
Yeah.
So I totally get you.
Yeah, but I mean, it was good. River, to be honest, and I always tell people, River had the better team. They had, a really well-stacked team that, with Pity Martinez and, Prato and, some guys that they had. And Boca, to be honest, always have names and little figures that they have because they have to because of who they are as a team, but they weren't really up to. I really don't even know how we made it to that final. I think it was just the will of or being the name of we're Boca and we have to win win every game. But they had a better team for sure. Everybody knew it, but obviously you're not gonna say, oh, they're gonna beat us. You're gonna
Of course,
expect,
yes.
especially those games, because those games, it doesn't matter who has the better team. It's all about like willpower and like going out and giving it everything. So
Yeah, everything
you
changes when it's a final, like
you can have anybody, but I'm still gonna go out there and
so true.
probably beat you.
Yeah, I totally feel you. Like for example, I'll give you since I opened a wound, let me open my wounds.
Right?
Like the same thing happened to us when we played against Ajax. We won the first leg, but the second leg they just completely dominated. And obviously we didn't have Cristiano anymore, but the players that had to step up didn't step up. And it was the same week that we lost to Barcelona twice. It was just terrible. So I totally understand you what it is to not only suffer a rivalry, but suffer games that that they have what it takes to win it, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough.
Yeah. It just sucks. It sucks.
I
But
know.
I guess that's football. Football goes up and down. One day you're up there, and then the next day you can be down low. But
so true.
that's the beauty of the game, right? The beauty of the game that you go through so many emotions, and like you get so into it and like so embedded into the sport that you suffer so much, and then whenever you
I
win,
agree.
you win everything. Like
exactly. There's no dispute about that.
exactly, right? I don't think any other sport can actually, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I've never seen any other fan of any other sport like suffer the way that soccer fans suffer for their teams. I don't know about you, but
I think it's a bit of, it just depends, the fan base. I know some fan bases are more relaxed, especially in other sports than in football. But based on my experience, what I've seen, well, we always suffer with the Houston Rockets during the playoffs.
That's a given.
I know, right? And well, with the Texans, I think we're a little more relaxed since we're such a new team. Well, new team because we're from the early 2000s. But and then with the Astros, I think they have more pressure out of all of them especially because they just won it not recently, but just a few years ago. So, and I think with terms of other sports, I think the people who I've seen like either intense, I think it has to be England with rugby because similar to, in football, they created the sport, yet they're not the multi-champions. They're not the ones that are there in every final, Yeah. So I think for that, I think I can relate to that. In other sports, there's more individuality. It just depends if you're a really hardcore fan of, like, for example, tennis. Like, unless you're like a hardcore fan of Djokovic, Nadal, Federer, you're just gonna enjoy the sport rather than it's true, like maybe the Olympics, but at the end of the day, the passion, it doesn't come close to football.
True, yeah. So switching gears a little bit, going back to Real Madrid.
For sure.
I had so earlier today I saw that Real Madrid is you heard about Lautaro Martinez possibly going to Barcelona, and I read today that Real Madrid is probably throwing in their names in the hat for that. What do you think about that?
The thing about rumors in Spain is that
it
sells newspapers.
You gotta make money.
The thing is, I know, and the thing is that I've heard a lot of people. I've heard Lautaro Martinez. I've heard Camavinga from the French league. I've even heard Haaland, even though he recently got bought to Dortmund. Lautaro, I think if he doesn't do anything with Inter de Milan this season, I think he will make that jump. I think he will seek that either Real Madrid, Barca. I had heard that Atletico had interested in him as well, but it just depends on like what the player situation is. Unfortunately, I don't follow Serie A as much as I used to when I was in college.
Yeah.
Now that work gets in the way, you only focus on your team and your team only.
For sure.
But based on Serie A, like Serie A is not competitive right now. Juventus, even when they struggle, they're still winning the league like by at least 3 to 4 points. And sometimes even more. So the Serie A is not really a competition to be there unless the team actually aspires for Champions League or even Europa League. So I do think that Lautaro will make that jump. That it's going to be Real Madrid or Barcelona, it could be either, to be honest. The thing about rumors is that they could be very dangerous. Sometimes you don't even hear any rumors and boom, the player's bought.
Right, yeah.
But for example, like Luka Jovic, there wasn't that much speculation for him to be bought by Real Madrid, and boom, Real Madrid was the first one to buy them. The same thing happened with Haaland. Haaland was kind of like being linked with Manchester. He was being linked with Manchester City, and he ended up in Dortmund. But at the same time, especially for an Argentinian, you have such an interesting past in both clubs that honestly, I could see him in either club. I think it'd be a little more realistic with Barcelona though, because Madrid having Benzema and already Luka Jovic, and on top of that Mariano. If he does arrive to Real Madrid, that's going to be either someone's going to get loaned or someone's going to get sold, and Karim Benzema has that position secured. Like, yeah, he might get subbed off once in a while, but that dude has a good relationship with Zinedine Zidane, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon, at least.
That's his position right there.
Exactly, and because he's such a flexible nine, unlike Luka Jovic and even Lautaro, because they're pure nines. They focus on their job is scoring goals. Benzema is every goal. He'll score a goal, but he'll also try to get the defense away so you can score a goal. He'll be back there defending. Next thing you know, he's playing wing. The dude's everywhere. Yeah, like I said, I've been, as I get older, I get more cautious now with rumors because look what happened with the Neymar thing. Everybody got so crazy. Like, Neymar's leaving PSG. Like, it's almost there. It's transfer market day. He's just going to sign the papers, and he wasn't even remotely close to leaving PSG.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
At the end of the day, until the Real Madrid website says comunicado oficial,
you
to me, it's kind of exactly, and as much as I would love to buy 2 or 3 players from every league, right now we have to focus on what we have right now, especially because we have so much young talent right now, and we have to kind of get used to developing those players, because once in a while, we start developing them and they either go on loan or they go on loan too many times that we just end up selling them. Look what happened with Morata. We ended up loaning him until he ended up getting sold, And even when we bought him back, we ended up selling him again.
And you actually were about to hit 2 of my next questions. One of them is who should we watch for? Who do you think is going to be the next, I don't know, the next star coming out of Real Madrid?
The next star of Real Madrid. So recently we bought Hazard, and unfortunately the injuries has not allowed him to shine. Based on what I've seen from this season, Vinicius Jr., he's on the right path. He's working. He's making it time. He takes advantage of every starting position. Rodrigo kind of came in as a natural, scoring a hat trick in a Champions League game was pretty amazing. And especially because you're stepping up when, Gareth Bale isn't stepping up, or when Hazard is injured, you're taking advantage of the games that you're playing. So to me, Rodrigo might be a big chance. Right now, we currently have a few players on loan. Ceballos seems to have a decent season with Arsenal. Not sure where they're at right now, but based on what I've seen, he's pretty much on form. Kubo, from the Japanese player that we actually ended up stealing from Barcelona, he's actually being a starter for Mallorca. But the one star that I think is ready to just come back and make an impact is Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard, not only did he come off the bench for Real Sociedad, but he actually became the star player. So I think the guy has the potential. I mean, even since we bought him, when he was playing for that Norwegian club, he was a starter at such a young age, and first division on top of that. So I think Martin Odegaard might be the one player that he's either going to shine at Real Madrid or he's going to shine at another club. But hopefully it's for our team.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna write them down and keep up with them. Hopefully, we'll get to see them in white, right?
Yes. Oh my God, I'm ecstatic. I actually bought his jersey when he came to Madrid. I still have the 41 Odegaard. But yeah, I can't wait to see him dressed in white. I don't know who would get loaned or sold, but or even if he comes back as, you know, with the Castilla number and gets called up for the senior team, I'm excited to see him at least on the bench and just ready to, you know, score goals or just set up plays enough for the win games, you know.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And then kind of blending in into the next question is, who would you like to have in your team now? Like, out of, if you could pick anybody out there, or like, who do you like that you're like, you know what, if I could and I had the money, or I had the power, I would pick them right out, bring them over here?
Look, right now there's a very real scenario right now that Gareth Bale might leave, especially because, you know, his attitude has not been the best this season, especially because, you know, everything, him not trying to learn Spanish, him kind of just focusing on his hobbies, you know. Don't get me wrong, I'm very thankful for Gareth Bale, but his attitude kind of does seem like he's getting ready to either get sold or just waiting for the contract to end. And that's a very real scenario right now. So if I had to put down the money right now, like go all in, doesn't matter how much he costs, I would have to say Kylian Mbappe. The fact that he's such a natural, and the fact that he can fill in not only the left wing position, but the fact that he can also play right wing is amazing to me. And we haven't seen that in a while. So, and, you know, obviously Benzema's not leaving anytime soon. Hazard, despite his injuries, you know, he was a Florentino #1 pick. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we've been trying to get Hazard like from way back because he's been trying to leave Chelsea. So if in the event that Bale leaves, you know, and we're still, you know, warming up Vinicius, we're still warming up Rodrigo, we're still warming up Asensio, then I would say spend the money on Mbappe. The fact that PSG was able to pull that out of their sleeve, you know, with Monaco and be like, hey, just loan him to us and we'll just pay you the rest afterwards. If they can do it, we can.
Right, yeah, for sure.
But it shouldn't be like that because that ruins the transfer market completely. But like you said, in a fictional scenario where I can buy whoever I want, it would have to be Mbappe. He's such a consistent player, and I think he's going to shine with a team that actually competes for a league rather than, you know, being in a team like, yes, you get those tough Champions League games. And he proved that PSG has, like, the way they eliminated Dortmund, they have the capabilities to go all the way. But at the same time, you know, that being in that French league, and not to tarnish the French league by all means, but PSG has had that kind of amount of money that it has put all the other teams on an unfair advantage. So I do think if Mbappe makes that jump to that, you know, I don't want, like I said, I don't want to insult PSG, but if Mbappe makes that like jump to a team that will use his capabilities to the full max, I think it would be amazing just to see him there. And, you know, like, especially because Modric is at a certain age, you know, you never know if he's going to take up the 10 or the 7. So,
yeah, exactly. You just kind of move him around a little bit, bring the other guy in.
For sure.
No, but yeah, man, that was it. That's all the questions I had. I want to kind of get myself into the La Liga, get me excited and get the listeners excited in La Liga, and hopefully, you know, everybody kind of keeps up with what's going to go on, you know, between obviously the two biggest teams in probably the last 20 years, you know, Real Madrid and Barcelona.
I totally agree. And the rivalry between Real Madrid and Barcelona, and even before the Messi Cristiano era, like these two clubs have been, you know, what pushes like football around the world, you know. Don't get me wrong, I think the Premier League has done wonders, you know, to bring football fans, especially here in the US, you know. But, you know, a Clásico is a Clásico. Even if you don't follow La Liga, that is the game to watch, like, of all leagues. And the best part is that we're only 1 point away from Barcelona. Like, yes, we get called a lot of times the two-horse race, but, I mean, anything can happen, especially right now during this pandemic. It's going to be an intense schedule, you know, and even if you miss a game here or there, especially during the weekdays, because we'll either be working or trying to work, it's going to be such an interesting thing what games will be won, what games will be drawn, you know, like what teams are going to step up like to ruin the big team's day, you know. And it usually happens like that. Sometimes we get the most unexpected game. For example, Real Betis, they beat us 2-1 in the last game before the pandemic. And, yes, Betis is a decent team. They've actually been able to acquire players here and there pretty well. But, you don't expect, Madrid, after beating Barcelona to lose to Betis, So there's always those teams that trip up the big teams. Sociedad, for seasons, they've tripped Barcelona up, especially not only when they had Carlos Vela and Griezmann, but even when they didn't have Griezmann, Carlos Vela would trip up Barcelona. So it's such an interesting thing, I would never see it as a two-legged race. It's a two-horse race, but rather, who's going to come out on top with the intensity of, especially now that people want to see their teams win from a computer screen.
Gotcha. And now to finish it off, we're going to do what's it called when you go really fast? A fire round? What do you call it?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to give you all the games that that Real Madrid has left, and you're going to give me the score. You're going to tell me how Real Madrid is going to do against them. And then at the end of the season or at the end of each game, I'll send you the number. And then we'll see if you were wrong or right.
Fantastic.
All right.
We'll see.
So first game, you'll have Eibar, right? That's how you pronounce it?
Eibar, I would say 4-0. We're coming on fresh. We have a bench ready. And on top of that, it's I don't want to call them a small team, but honestly, we're just a bigger team.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to be honest.
For sure.
Then you have Valencia at home. Or you guys are at home. Yeah.
Well, we're going to be playing at the Castilla field. So I would say a 3-1. I think they do get to score on us.
Yeah, I guess with the whole pandemic, I guess being at home doesn't really matter, right? Because there's no people.
We're taking advantage to renovate the stadium. So, we'll technically be at home, but it's going to be where Castilla plays.
Yeah. So then you have Real Sociedad.
Real Sociedad, it's going to be a good game, but I think we still win 4-2.
4-2. Then we have Mallorca.
Mallorca, that's where Cubo's playing right now. I think we win a 3-0.
3-0. Then we have Espanyol.
Espanyol, they're known for tripping the big team, so I'm going to give them a little credit. I'm going to say 4-1.
Oh, Jesus. That's a little credit? Or like them beating you 4-1? Or you beating them 4-1?
No, us beating 4-1, giving them a credit that they'll be able to score.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have to think positive because since we're so close with Barcelona, we really can't afford losing or drawing.
That is true. That's what happened with Paul. We did the same thing with Paul with the Wolves. And he was like, man, I would be a terrible betting person because every game he also put that the Wolves were going to win every game.
Unless there's two different teams playing, like you got to bet on your team,
Exactly, right? You just can't go the other way. I think he had only one game that he was losing, and it was the last game against Chelsea. So, I guess he's being nice.
He's being more fair than I am.
Right? Then you have Getafe.
Getafe, easy. I would say 5-0.
5-0. All right.
Yes. Don't get me wrong. Getafe can be a decent team, but most of the time Real Madrid dominates. Even without Cristiano, we've dominated Getafe before.
All right. Then you have Athletic.
Athletic Club. Bilbao usually trips Barcelona more than they do us. So I'm going to say 2-1 victory us.
2-1. Then we have Alaves.
Alaves. I would say 3-0.
3-0.
So it's a team that knows how to recruit players, but it's an inconsistent team throughout the La Liga. So I'm giving them the credit that it's not going to be a full-on destruction. So that's why I'm saying 3-0. Like maybe 1 goal in the first half and 2 goals in the second half.
A mild destruction. We'll put it like that. Then we have Granada.
Granada actually had a good season this year, though. I would say 3-2,
3-2.
but us winning, of course.
Right, yeah, of course. Then we have Villarreal.
Villarreal, they're not as strong as they used to be, but they are having a decent season. I would say 3-1 as well.
3-1. And then to finish off La Liga, you have probably the hardest game that you will ever encounter, which is Leganes.
Well, he actually almost lost. We've had times where, even with Cristiano Ronaldo, we've actually tripped over Leganes. So it is funny that you say that, but without, depending, like, we don't get more injuries and our bench is fully stacked and, people are playing the right mentality, I would say 2-0.
2-0 against the hardest team out there. All right, seems
You
even.
you laugh now, but there's
Right.
times where, like, the randomest team trips us over, and it's like, why?
Yeah, it's like you laugh now, we'll see later.
Exactly. Like, I remember, like, one time we barely beat Leganes because with Cristiano Ronaldo, and it was just because of a penalty. So I do remember times where, like, Leganes, it's like, I don't know.
So,
But yes,
so that's gonna be the one to
but
watch.
I do think that, especially because since Barcelona is going to be watching very attentively, I think that we need to strive to win every game. Like, at this point, you're not going to have the pressure, like, even away games, you're not going to have the pressure of fans shouting at you. You're going to have very well-rested players. And on top of that, at least our 90% of injuries came back. So honestly, with the exception of, like, heavy rotation during the games, that obviously is going to be a little intense, we should strive to win every game. And I hope Zidane knows what players to play for certain games and what players to play for other games.
And he seems like he's doing a good job, right? And an all right job as a coach.
Yes, I think he maybe it could have been. It was a little bit of a rocky start when he as his comeback, but honestly, compared to last season, it's still an improvement. Obviously he's handling a team without Ronaldo, and obviously his previous formations as well as tactics revolved around him, Benzema, and Bale. But now that he's only had to rely on Benzema solely, I think there are times where, like, maybe you should have played this other player. But there's times where, like, he's let other players shine. For example, Ferlendi, Fede Valverde, and even Courtois. Courtois got to shine this season. He's actually one of the best goalkeepers for La Liga this season compared to last season, where he was considered one of the worst ones. So honestly, it's just a matter of, like, people stepping up, not being afraid to, like, because I know it can be intimidating sometimes to put this shirt on. But now that there's not going to be any fans, there shouldn't be no excuses to not strive to win every game, especially with a team of this caliber.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, man. So we have Real Madrid winning La Liga at the end of the 2 months then? God willing, right?
God willingly, at least with that, I have at least Madrid scoring at most points as possible and not giving Barcelona a break.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That knowingly that Barca knows that every game we're just there.
Right there.
One little mess up. Yes,
we got you. Yeah.
So at least I want that. Like, I don't mind if they get one draw. I definitely don't want a single loss, but I want I want that intensity of the players and the team, knowing the fact that they're just that 1 point away from their rivals. Because the moment the rivals, get tripped by any game, that's to take advantage, And, like I said, it's different scenarios, different situation for not all just the players, but for all teams, So it's time to shine, and finish strong.
Finish strong, yeah, for sure. So that's the end of all my questions and everything that I had for you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. I don't even know how long we've been going, but we've been going for a good while. But before we leave the whole conversation, go ahead and just let us know where they can either find you or the Peña, and also where you guys meet up for the games.
For sure. So in all social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and even Facebook, y'all can contact me at JRUG_17. For the Peña is as well for all social media is at P Madridista HTX.
Cool. Perfect. So there you go. And also, where do you guys meet up for the games?
So I have to see, like, in terms of like what our bar is going to be doing in terms of safety scenarios for it, because let's be frank, as much as I want to host games like now, I do have to keep in mind that some people are really being cautious about this coronavirus things. Even if some people aren't, I need to like know what the bar is going to do in terms of like, now that the games are going to be coming back, what their policy is going to be. So like just gonna see how to manage it, and go from there,
Cool. And on a regular day, let's just say nothing was going on, where do you guys meet up?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Richmond Arms.
But that's a good clarification, because a lot of people are gonna show up and they're gonna be like, hey, 6 feet away, like high fives and stuff,
High fiving, we meet at Richmond Arms. It is on, just to get a notification, it's near Galleria Mall. It's Fountain View and Fountain View and Richmond Avenue. It's literally to the corner next to a Burger King and to a Wendy's. It's between those two.
Perfect.
And they're fantastic guys. Richmond Arms. If you guys want to support the local businesses, that is one business to support. They're doing takeout foods. I am aware that they did open karaoke night last Saturday, but I don't know what they did in terms of policy. But if y'all want to go support the bar, if y'all are too cooped up and need to go somewhere for a drink, Richmond Arms is the place to go.
Perfect. So I'll put all the descriptions on the below on the thing. And but thank you again, Juan. Thank you for your time. Thank you everybody for watching or listening, whatever you're doing. Don't forget to follow QuattroQuattroDos also on Instagram and Twitter. It's QUATTRO, and then say that twice, and then dos. But that's everything we had. Once again, I appreciate you, and thank you for joining me for this.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity, man. I really enjoyed talking football with you, and it's hope we can do it again.
Yeah, for sure. Whenever Champions Leagues come back, you guys have something ahí pendiente with Manchester City.
For sure. We got lucky, unlike Liverpool, so
that's for sure.
We're hot and ready to come back,
Perfect, brother. I'll hit you up then. And it was nice meeting you. Hopefully we'll meet in person soon, brother.
My pleasure. And you're always invited to watch the game with us.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. Have a good one, man.
You too. Stay safe.
See you, brother.